Hi and welcome to everyone joining us for this preview, which will be for the meeting at Turffontein, the Standside track on Thursday, the 18th of May. It is pre-recorded on Wednesday morning, so take note of any additional scratchings, and as they come closer to race time, any horses that find significant support. Lovely to have Alistair Cohen on the line, who'll be taking us through the preview. Firstly, Alistair, how are you doing? And then you tell me down your neck of the woods in Johannesburg, it's really cold.
It is very, very cold. I'm well, thanks, Sheldon. Thanks for asking. I trust all the viewers are good as well. I actually quite like this card on Thursday. I think Joburg racegoers will need a little bit of happiness to warm up with what's going on in Joburg at the moment. Obviously, we've had a bit of rain between Sunday and Tuesday morning. I think the rain has cleared away. I don't think we'll see much rain for the next few months. But let me tell you, it is very, very cold on this Wednesday. It's the type of weather where you're indoors, you got the blankets over you, got all sorts of jackets on, but you still don't want to go outdoors. And after this preview, sadly, I'm going to have to run a few errands. So I don't mind if this preview takes a few hours, to be honest.
Well, excellent. The first race is a Work Riders maiden plate over 1,600 meters. Now, when you look at warming things up, Miss Christmas, number 1, is the current favourite at 22-10. Number 2, Spring of Alexa, is priced up at 5-2. Alistair, looking at race number 1, which is the opening leg of the bar pot, you've elected to dodge the bar pot and go for the place accumulator. And the opening leg of the bar pot, there's only one horse who's run a place in its last start, and that was number 5, 3 Bells. It shows you the lack of opposition in race number 1. How can you help us out here?
Well, to call a spade, this is a bad race. Number 1, Miss Christmas, has been very costly to follow. Number 2, Spring of Alexa, only ran a week ago and was a disappointing run. But I don't think she's had the best of luck going round at the Vaal. It's her first run at Turffontein, so there's no evidence to say that she'll be any easier at Turffontein. But she's just had no passage through. So I think from draw 1, not a hell of a lot can go wrong. So I'd be leaning towards it with absolutely no confidence whatsoever. One Miss Christmas has her held by 3 3/4 lengths on the run on the 9th of March. I'm sour to Miss Christmas. There's no other way to put it. I think the improver here could be number 9, Chicago Lass. Paul Matchett's on fire. Her form is ordinary, to say the least. But she made her debut in 2021, April 2021. She was rested nearly 2 years and came back with, what you would have expected, a flat run where she needed it. She probably will need it, but how badly does she have to need it not to run into the first 4 here, number 8, Chicago Lass? You'll remember the mother, Lauderdale. She won at Hollywoodbets Greyville as a 2-year-old. She won a feature race down there for Brian Bernard. I think she was trained by Duncan Howell. So she's by far the best genetically in the race. That doesn't always translate to a good racehorse. But I think number 8, Chicago Lass, has got some improvement to come. So I'm not saying she'll win the race, but I think she can run in the first 4. But it's not much of a betting race. I think we can save the shekels for races later on in the day.
And least to say, Paul Matchett and the Panda Rams, they're in tremendous form at the moment, so that won't hurt the chances of number 8, Chicago Lass, and then perhaps number 7, All Rise, at around 20-1 for the quartet. So let's move straight on to race number 2, which will be the opening leg of the place accumulator. Number 6, Royal Guard, sets the trend, 3rd on both occasions to date. And Alistair, when you look at the debut run behind Cosmic Star, the form line's been well franked. And last time just seemed to want to run behind horses, still showing signs of being quite green, the 4-year-old.
Absolutely, Sheldon. He's obviously a late developer. He made his debut as a 4-year-old, a rising 5-year-old. He looks the goods on the way to the start and in the parade ring and everything else. He's coming along the right way. I think he's just found the right landing spot. I don't see too many dangers for him. I think he's already made bar pots and place accumulator banker. I don't know anything about Pettigrew's first time at 20 Drachmas, the son of Danon Platina. It wouldn't be Pettigrew's style to start them off over a mile, but I'm sure that there'll be a lot of improvement to come with this run under the belt. And then looking around, number 2, Archimedes, is overdue. I think that he probably needs a if Royal Guard wasn't in this race, I'd tip Archimedes on top. So what I'm saying is, I think Archimedes is good exacta swinger value in this race. Not that you'll get rich that way. Number 1, Kambulu's held by number 6, Royal Guard. So I don't see much opposition for this red hot favourite.
There we go. Royal Guard looks to be probably the best bet on the card and hopefully will come through for the favourite backers. As we step into the ring for race number 3, which over 1,160 metres, that'll be down the lane, Turffontein standside track. And when looking at the runners for the third race, just getting an indication of the betting, number 1, Magic Prince is priced up around 16 to 10. Number 8, Turbo Power is trading at 4 to 1, along with the first time and number 9. And then we go out to 7 to 1 and better the rest of them. Looking at the second leg of the place, accumulator, you going with horses 1 and 9. Let's kick off with Magic Prince. Obviously, the form horse after running second to Smelting, and the form lines have sparked up.
The strange thing about that run to Smelting, Sheldon, is that at the time, nobody would have believed that that form line would actually turn out to look okay. Smelting took an eternity to win a race. It looked like she found the right type of race to get the job done. But ultimately, there have been a few winners from that form line. The 7th place Green Scepter came out and won, and 10th place Dungeons came out and won. And also Asukle, who ran 6th, has come out and won from that form line as well. So it's a lot better than what many would have thought at the time. So number 1, Magic Prince, is undoubtedly the horse that they all need to beat. He's drawn on the right side of the track, which is obviously a big benefit as well. When the going sticky on the Turffontein standside track, a high number draw is vital. He holds quite comfortably number 3, Saka Gold, who will be in the top half of the betting boards as well. So number 1, Magic Prince, does stand out. But then of the first timers, I've heard a word about this Azzy runners. Capsaicin, I think it is, the son of Canford Cliffs. The mother was a very good sprinter trained by Grant Maroon, Queen Laurie. And I've heard that this horse has got a lot of speed and is showing very, very nice work at home. It's very rare that you'll see Craig Zaki riding for the Azzies, but maybe Craig was just the one that was in the ring at the time, sat on board this horse and got a feel, and has probably stuck with him since. It's probably just one of those with the stars of the line. So Magic Prince, I wouldn't say is an absolute good thing, despite being my first choice, but if the word is right about number 9, Capsaicin, then big runner, watch out for a big start. And the Azzies now had already them up first time as well.
100% right. Over the years, we've seen the Azzy combination and the team bring out first timers, and when the money comes for them, they certainly deliver. So race number 3, number 1, Magic Prince. The form lines are looking good, but Capsaicin, the word is out, this individual can run. Let's go on to race number 4, which will once again be down the lane over 1,160 metres. Race number 4 is due off at 1,400 hours. And just looking at the betting, the favourite is from the Stuart Pettigrew yard, number 7, Duenna, trading at around 22 to 10. And then we have 4 to 1 about Francine, which is from the Michael Azzy stable, another first-timer. So let's kick off with the Stuart Pettigrew runner, promising third to Chrome Tourmaline.
So here's the story. When I came down to work at Hollywoodbets Greyville on Guineas Day, Stuart Pettigrew obviously had Captain Peg and his winner Miss Shy of me, flew on the same plane together. And as we were boarding, he said, "Did you see my first time with Mr. Slacks the other day?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Right, watch it next time." So here's next time. It was a good run behind Chrome Tourmaline. She stayed on strongly. The extra 160 metres should suit. Like I said earlier, it's not Pettigrew style to ready them up first time. They do come on naturally, and they tend to be popping in their second and third starts. So I'm going to back that word and go with number 7, Duenna, as a place accumulator banker. I'm not too sure she's past the post. I'm pretty sure she'll run the first 3. I'm very confident about that. But there's a horse number 3, Simply Magic, who I think can go close. Do not watch her go down to the start. She has got absolutely no stride to speak of, but she comes back all right. The fact that she's had 10 starts to win a maiden, or she hasn't won a maiden yet, but the fact that she's a maiden after 10 starts, I think shows you exactly the type of quality that she is. But the last 2 starts have very good form runs. The run to Convocation is a solid piece of form, and then last time in the 300,000 Monaco maiden sprints, again, there have been winners left, right and centre. Horses that were hammered out of sight have come out and run places. And there's a line of form with this horse number 4, Someday Maybe. Pour Some Sugar on Me finished right alongside number 3, Simply Magic. And and rather Sunday maybe was beaten 6 lengths by Pour Some Sugar on Me. So I think that'll weigh up exactly where Sunday maybe is. And I'm a bit worried about Law of Success's run at the Vaal the other day. Even though if you watch it, you'll say that she had no luck from the worst draw. I think she raced a little bit too hard for my liking anyway. And I'm not too sure she'll be able to back that up a week later. So that's my thinking with number 5, Law of Success. Although I give her a prayer, I think that she'll be held by... I think the form will turn around with number 3, Simply Magic. I know that there's about 6 lengths for Law of Success to work with. But also to add to that, she's drawn on the inside. With regard to the Aussie first-timer, I've heard nothing about number 8, Francine, but I'm very interested to see how she goes because Franny was a very good 2-year-old. She was trained by Gavin van Zyl, ran in the Oppenheimer Silks, the Maritz-Fontein Silks, but being by Silvano might suggest that she'll throw something that goes a trip as well. So I've heard nothing about Francine. There's a lot more talk about the first-timer. In fact, there is talk for the first-timer in race 3, but nothing for race 4. So what's the market?
Let's move on to race number 5, and you're going to tell us a lot more because this is a race that the punters are going to be really interested in with number 1, Safe Passage. He came back to KwaZulu-Natal and he ran a distant 14th behind Trip of Fortune. But if you go back to Safe Passage, he was winning race after race. He won the Daily News. He ran 3rd in the Hollywoodbets Durbanville behind Sparkling Water. They backed him up quickly 12 days later. Any excuses or nothing to come out of the wash from that last run of Safe Passage?
The Cox website about number 1, Safe Passage. He was bitterly disappointed. He got a bump out the stalls and just did not pick up the bit from there. Look, I think he'll have to go wrong not to make the Hollywoodbets Durbanville on what he showed before. But I think for his supporters, and I know there are a lot, they would like to see signs of life. I can't see him missing the first 3 here if everything's in order. What's interesting about this race is that we got the last 2 Gauteng Guineas winners in this race because I Have the Prophet obviously won it this year and Safe Passage won it last year. For what it's worth, and I don't like comparing times on different days, never mind a year apart, but for what it's worth, I Have the Prophet's time was slightly quicker than Safe Passage's time, but if I remember correctly, Safe Passage won on an absolute bog. They'd moved that Guineas meeting by a few days because of the rain on the Saturday to a Tuesday night, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there would have been a lot of sting out the ground. I don't know how much we can read into that is what I'm saying. What I do like about number 2, I Have the Prophet, though, is the amount of weight that he gets. So what is it, 53.5? Gets 8.5 kilos for number 1, Safe Passage, who, to say the jury out is probably harsh, but there's a lot more for Safe Passage to prove after the last run in the Independence on Saturday Drill Horse Stakes than what I Have the Prophet has got to prove because his last run was bad, but that's because he just doesn't stay 2,450 meters. It was worth the gamble, but now we know he doesn't. I can't see anything else getting into this race. I think Team Gold and Wafif have got place chances to potentially follow 1 and 2 home. If all is in order, Safe Passage, very, very hard horse to beat, but on the last run, I would just throw the safety net out a little bit wider and include number 2, I Have the Prophet, in all the exotics.
Well, thanks very much for that, Alistair. As we move on to race number 6, this is over 1,160 meters. Let's touch on number 1, Quantum Theory. After running some cracking seconds behind some really good individuals, last time another runner who blotted the copybook, but he did have valid excuses.
With regard to Quantum Theory in Sheldon, it's quite interesting. I spoke to Robbie Sage not so long ago, and I know that this was a case with a lot of Reinke spin trainers. Mike de Kock at the time, Candace Dawson, Roy Magna, Robbie Sage, there were Alec Laird. They were struggling with sick horses in their yard, with viruses. And, you know, there's a lot of the time you can tell before a race when a horse was flat, but all those trainers were saying, you know, I look at my horse, they're working well, they run stinkers, and I scope them the next time, and they're just full of all sorts of mucus. So I don't know whether that was the exact reason for number 1, Quantum Theory's bad run, but that was certainly the time where trainers were tearing their hair out at Reinkiesfontein. So he's a lot better than that run. I've always held him in high regard. I think he's a very smart horse. And I think the race lies between 2 horses here. Number 1, Quantum Theory, and number 4, Cleaver Green. Unfortunately, with Cleaver Green, for now, his reputation precedes him, but I think that he's got a lot about him. He obviously needed his last run behind Godswood. In fact, for a while, he looked fairly dangerous when 400 meters out, he looked like he was going to make a run to at least earn a bit of money. And then the signs of fitness just took its toll over the final 200 meters. So he'll be a lot better for that run. At the end of the day, a horse who can run a neck to Master Archie, never mind the weight turnaround, you got to be good enough to at least get a blow in this race. So I think the race lies between two horses here, numbers 1 and 4. I know that Wind, Water, and Alarm through Mercantile has got Quantum Theory held, but I wouldn't take Quantum Theory's last run at face value. Wind, Water's got to have a stay drawn towards the outside. And I think the winner comes from one of those three, but I'd lean towards number 4, Cleaver Green. I think that run last time would have done him a world of good.
Well, thanks very much for that. There's 2 races left to negotiate. As we say, 2 hurdles, races 7 and 8. And moving on to race number 7, just looking at the anti-post betting, they have number 5, Cold Hard Stare from the Michael Azzi team, the daughter of What a Winter out of the Trippy Mare Trip Poker, priced up as the 18-10 favourite. You can then get 5-1 and better the field here. Just looking at your perm, you believe that number 5, Cold Hard Stare, is a horse that you need to include, but you've gone with at least 4 runners here as far as the place accumulator goes, Alistair?
Yeah, the last 2 races where things open up. We start on race 1 with a tricky race, and the last 2 races are tricky. I think the meat of the meeting is where you can put your head down and be confident. I'm not very confident with this race, but I do like a horse that will be at a bit of a price here, number 7, Golden Aspen. I love it when she runs in wet going. I think that she grows an extra leg when there's a bit of sting out the ground. If it was the inside track, I'd be a lot more confident about number 7, Golden Aspen. I'm not singing from the rooftops and saying race over, put your head down and have a go. But what I am saying is definitely include her in your trifecta quartets and make sure she's in your pick 6, not that she's a huge price. Another big price horse that I have in my play here is number 12 on the card, Striker Match. I've been watching her closely, and I think the drop in rating is exactly now where she needs to be. She started her career with 2 wins. What was her highest rating? Let me just double check.
97.
Her highest rating was a 97. And she's now down to a 79. I thought she had valid excuses last time out when she clipped heels at the start. It's her anti-penultimate run, the 15th of April, which I remember quite vividly and thought, right, this filly's not too far away from coming back to life. I think she's going to run a big race, number 12, Striker Match. Again, you can't be overly confident about her winning the race, but she's held some good company. She's run less than 2 lengths to Taikenaut. Taikenaut's won a Group 3. She's won. I know that she was hammered 14 lengths by Kiss Me Captain, but Kiss Me Captain was desperately unlucky in the Gardenia Stakes on Champions Day. So, and even 5.5 lengths to Move and Shake It. She's got credentials to go very close here, Sheldon. If you ignore the last 2 runs, and I think her penultimate run was probably over a distance too far, I think number 12, Striker Match, is undoubtedly the value in this race. My other 2 horses in the PA are the more reliable and in form, 5, Cold Hard Stare, and 9, Rosara. Their credentials speak for themselves.
Let's settle it in race number 8, where they are betting 7-2 the field. The current favourite is number 4, Nettleton. Going to look to put that last run behind her when apparently the saddle slipped, or stubborn, and the saddle slipped on that occasion. Keegan de Mello for the Johan Janse van Vuren stable. That's at 7-2. Number 2, Samoa, who you have in your place accumulator, is at 5-1, along with number 3, Time for Charity at 5-1, and then we go out to 7-1 and bet the rest. Alistair, let me just throw you my Shruti first. Number 1, Queen of Gaul at around 16-1. And you'll see the merit rating from a 94 down to a 76. Of course, ran second to Gobsmacked, second to Love Bite. And the form lines have started to come alive. And this is a horse who I think can bounce back over the 1160. They've tried over a bit further recently. What's your take on number 1, Queen of Gaul at around 16-1?
Sheldon, is not impossible. I had a good close look at her because she's drawn towards the outside and because of her rating drop. I think she might be a runaway, if I'm honest. I thought last time where she showed good pace. Probably a step in the right direction rather than the wrong. I think coming back to the sprint is the natural sequence to take. But I think the unexposed number 4, Nettleton, and the hard knocking number 2, Samoa, who was impressed. That was the most impressive of her 6 wins to date last time. They might have her edge. So, yeah, I can definitely see number 1, Queen of Gaul, getting into the top 3 or 4 here. but I think she's probably just one run away from really hitting a scratch. That's just the impression that I've got from her. With regards to number 4, we've got to forgive that last one with the saddle slips. I think she's a little better than that run. I'm also not convinced that going around the fence on the surface inside was her win. I think the straight line will be a lot better for her. They didn't want to know first time up when she beat Iron Sky, and she delivered on that occasion. I think that if you are going to develop into a useful race for a race of 72 and being this unexposed, you ought to win a race of this nature. There's quite a few other unexposed horses in this race. Number 2, Samoa, like I said, I was impressed with her last one over 1,000 meters. She hit the line running. She absolutely glided into I think she can back it up with another smart performance. And then my absolute lunatic here is number 11, Rocking the Time Away, coming back to a sprint. I think this is the happy medium distance-wise. 5 starts over the course and distance for a win in 3 places. Large weight. A bit worried about the inside draw for number 11, Rocking the Time Away, but she does like to run for cover. So I think Karatina Kucheni can drop her in and aim at the right type of horse that she could be doing her best work late. Probably more quartet chance than an exacta hope, but I think number 11, Rocking the Time Away, won't be too far away. I think she can earn in a very open last race of the afternoon.
That time of the show where we get the suggested bet for the day, and the suggested bet will be a place accumulator from Alistair Cohen, and he has given us 3 bankers as far as the place accumulator goes, and then he's thrown in a couple of runners in the last 2 legs. So let's start off with the opening leg. We has elected to banker number 6. So number 6, Royal Guard, will be the first of his bankers. The second leg, he'll be going with numbers 1 and 9. The third leg, he's going to banker number 7, Duenna. So that's a banker in race 4, number 7, Duenna. The following event, numbers 1 and 2, should be sufficient. The next race, he's elected to banker horse number 4. So there you've got 3 ready-made bankers. That's what Alistair Cohen suggests. And then the last 2 legs, he says throw in numbers 5, 7, 9, and 12 in the penultimate leg. 5, 7, 9, and 12. And then ending off the meeting with numbers 2, 4, and 11. So that is a look at the suggested bet from Alistair Cohen as far as the place accumulator goes. Thanks very much to Alistair Cohen joining us on the line for the 8-race program at Turffontein on the Standside track.